What's up, brand builders? Stephen Hurahan here at brandmasteracademy.com. And in this video, you're going to learn how to create an employee branding process for your business. So you can align your brand from top to bottom, from inside to out, and develop representatives that personify the brand you're building. Now, if you're new to the channel and you want to build brands that go beyond the visuals using strategy, psychology, and creative thinking, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to fast track your results, make sure you grab the Pro Brand Strategy Blueprint. It's a free download and the link is in the description. Now, I created a video recently called What is Employee Branding? If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. But just to recap, employee branding is all about appealing to the audience through the employees. Now, that differs to employer branding, which is all about appealing to those employees and telling them that the brand is a great place to work. So employee branding and employer branding, they're quite similar, but employer branding appeals to the employees, whereas employee branding is the employees appealing to the wider audience. Now, the reason employee branding is becoming more and more popular is that brand leaders understand the value of cohesion and consistency. And if they don't take the time to educate their employees on the brand and what the brand means, what it represents, and how it should be communicated in the marketplace, then there is going to be misalignment, and that misalignment leads to distrust. So employee branding is becoming more and more important because every single touch point within the brand should be consistent from top to bottom, which includes face-to-face or over the phone or any kind of employee interaction. And that consistency is definitely one of the major advantages of employee branding. If we see consistency time and again, that represents predictability and that represents trust to us. That's in our innate nature as human beings. We gravitate towards things and people that we can trust, and predictability is an indication that we can trust somebody or something. So that cohesion right across the board within the brand will help the wider audience to build trust towards that brand, to realize that this is a brand that is predictable, that it is what it says it is, it does exactly what it says on the tin. And that is ultimately the value of employee branding, having that consistency across the board, whether it's a digital interaction or a face-to-face meeting. So now, between this video and the previous video that I referenced, I hope you have a good understanding of what employee branding is. But now I want to give you the steps that you can take to integrate employee branding processes into your own business or your clients. Step number one, align employer and employee branding. Now, employee branding works on the premise that the employee is going to go out and represent the brand and personify the brand in essence and really bring across the values that the brand represents. Now, if there is a misalignment internally within the brand, then the employees are not going to be able to represent that brand in the way it should. For example, if the values of the brand are well-being and kindness, and then within the brand, the employees are expected to do overtime consistently, and the brand manager is a bit of an ass, well, then that's not aligned with what the brand says it is externally. So that employer branding and employee branding is really important, having that alignment. Step number two, develop an effective onboarding process. Now, if the employer branding is doing what it should, then chances are there will be demand to work within this brand. There will be a demand from the workforce for open positions within the brand. And that's great for the brand in terms of attracting the best talent, but there needs to be an effective onboarding process in place. And that should uncover exactly who this person is and what they believe, to make sure that they're aligned with who the brand is and what the brand believes. If there is a misalignment there, then they are not going to be the best person to go out and represent that brand. So you need to have those processes in place to make sure that the onboarding process really does attract and uncover the most relevant people for the brand. Step number three, educate your employees on the brand. Now, Zappos have absolutely nailed employee branding because they are so in touch with who their brand is, and they have great processes in place to make sure that the people that they take within to their brand understand what the brand is about. They educate them over a 4-week program. When somebody starts at Zappos, they don't just go straight to work. No, they take 4 weeks to understand what the brand is about, what the vision of the brand is, what the purpose of the brand is, what are those values, and how does the brand behave in the market. And only then, after 4 weeks of understanding what the brand is about? Are they ready to go out and start engaging with the audience? So make sure you educate your new employees on what the brand is about and how they're expected to go out and represent that brand, so that when they go onto the front lines of the brand is being represented in the right way. Step number 4, incentivize alignment. Now, most businesses will have some kind of performance incentives which are either directly or indirectly related to sales. But that flies in the face of branding. Branding and sales do work towards the same goal, and that is to grow the business through client acquisition, but they do it in very different ways. Branding is the long game. It's all about that messaging. It's all about that consistency, and it's all about that trust. If you incentivize your employees to make sure that their communication and the way they represent the brand is aligned with who the brand is and what the brand represents, then they will really adopt that. They'll take it seriously, and they'll try each and every day to make sure that what they're saying is in line with what the brand believes and what the brand message is. And step number 5, analyze effectiveness through surveys. So it's great that you have employer and employee branding in place, but just because it's in place doesn't necessarily mean it's working. This isn't a set and forget job. You really need to keep your ear to the ground and your finger on the pulse as to whether or not what you're doing is actually working. And a great way to do that is to survey your audience and small segments of your audience regularly to see if the brand experience that they had is aligned with the brand strategy. And if it is, that tells you that your employer branding is working. If it's not, it tells you that you might need to adjust something. Now, you might be thinking employee branding is for big businesses. It's not really for my little small business, but introducing employee branding into a big corporation is far more difficult than it is to introduce it to a small corporation or a small business. If you introduce these processes early and you're consistent with these processes, if everybody that comes into your business is educated on what the brand is about, so when they communicate with the audience, they're communicating and personifying that brand, then it becomes part of the fabric of the brand. So take the opportunity when the business is small to really integrate these processes early, and don't wait until you become much bigger when it's much more difficult. And if you do want to grow your brand, which I'd imagine you do, then you want every advantage at your disposal. Taking the time to develop processes for employee branding doesn't take that long. Implementing them consistently long term takes a bit of work, but the rewards are there. If you can engage your audience with consistent and cohesive communication from who your brand is through each and every employee, your audience will start to see that you're a predictable brand that does what it says it's going to do. And that is a brand that your audience can trust. Now, of course, if you want to develop an effective employee branding process, that's going to lean on a strong brand culture. If you want to understand what brand culture is and how to develop it, well, then this video will help you out. Until next time, brand like a master, and I'll see you in the next video.